Thomas Edison has been quoted and possibly misquoted many, many times about his invention of the light bulb. You've probably heard one version of the quote or another. I know that I've used this quote before. In creating the light bulb, after some 10,000 tries to get it right, he said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The point is pretty clear. Every experience that we have offers us something that we can learn from. We can learn from every experience. We learn, we grow, and we refocus, and hopefully we become better because of the experiences that we have. As a child, when I stuck my finger in an electrical socket, I learned. That's a true story. I did that for real, just once because I learned. As a 30-something-year-old after eating Taco Bell, I learned. That experience reminded me that I'm not 20 and some things aren't the same. I did that for real more than once because sometimes it takes more than once to actually learn. We're starting to see that this time of the virus is changing, right? We can't say that it's coming to an end, but we are moving towards slowly reopening. Life begins to move towards something new. Some things will go back to the same as they were. Some things will never be the same again. Whatever that picture looks like, what do we do when this is over? What have we learned from this experience that we should carry with us? We hope this is a question that you are truly asking yourself. And our goal in this time together is not to tell you what you've learned, but to encourage the process of looking at this experience that we've had and asking ourselves, what have we learned? And then be proactive to put what we've learned into action in our lives. To help us in this endeavor, we're going to be looking at the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verses 36 to 51. Here we find words and instructions of Jesus, and he's addressing his future return, his second coming. May these words guide us as we seek to honor God with our lives. This is what it says, Matthew 26, verses 36 to 51. It says this. It says, "But about that day," Jesus says this, "but about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding on a handmill, one will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on the day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have left his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly, I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose the servant is wicked and says to himself, 'My master is staying away a long time,' and then he begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and in an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him to a place with the hypocrites. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." When I attended Houghton College, I played club lacrosse. My friends and I who played lacrosse, we would regularly go to the campus quad. It's a large grass area in the middle of campus, and we would throw past the lacrosse ball back and forth, often over a pretty great distance. During one of those occasions, some girls I knew walked by, and so it went through my head, really just for like a split second, talk to girls, play lacrosse. Talk to girls, play lacrosse. Of course, I chose to talk to the girls. We were having a really nice conversation until I heard my friends scream my name. Do you ever have one of those moments where it seems like everything's running in slow motion, but you can't do anything about it? I slowly turned my head, wondering what was going on, only to find that my friends had decided to throw the ball my way. Slow motion, I could see the ball coming towards me, but I could not do anything about it. Have you ever held a lacrosse ball? They're not light, right? Not light at all. It hit me directly between the eyes. Somehow it didn't really hit me in the nose, yet my nose turned into a fountain. We'll just say that the conversation with the girls was absolutely over. It was a wonderful reminder of something I learned as a child playing baseball and soccer. It is something I continually encourage my boys when we play catch. Keep your eyes on the ball. Keep your focus locked in. Every time we play catch or kick the soccer ball around, focus on the ball. Keep your eyes on the ball. Go to the ball. Attack the ball. Watch the ball all the way into your hands. When you don't, you pay the price. Hopefully not the price my face played, but you pay some kind of price. This passage is all about focus. It is about keeping your eyes, your intention, your direction awake, alert, and focused in the right places. Many of us have paid the price in life of allowing our focus on the things that matter to drift. Marriages don't simply just end, right? They drift. Relationships don't just break, they grow apart. Families just don't become dysfunctional. They get wrapped up in life. We get busy, we forget our priorities, and we allow ourselves to be stretched, and that seems to happen. Our connection with God, it doesn't just stop, it's a relationship. But sometimes we find ourselves in moments where things in life are pretty good, and we get wrapped up in all the things that are happening, and we drift from church and our church family, and we don't seem to need God in most moments, and we just lose our focus, and we drift. When I started researching this topic, what do we do when this is over? One of my initial thoughts was, who in the Bible faced a catastrophe in any way relatable to ours and what we see? My mind immediately went to Noah and the flood, and it's kind of interesting. This passage starts at that same place, right? It starts at that same moment. We see that leading up to the flood, the people of the world were distracted with really everything. Their focus was off, and they were not ready. Can you relate to that? I know that I can. This is Jesus' warning. Are we focused? Are we ready? Are we watching? There have been some positives that have come from this time of the virus. There have been, right? There have been some real good positives. I've spoken to families who have shared that they appreciate how things have slowed down. Couples have shared with me that they are talking now more than they ever have. There's more communication in relationships. Families are connecting, conversing, laughing, loving in new ways, in great ways, in more ways. We're being creative with the way that we can bless other people. We're being intentional. We're taking specific time to say the most important thing I can do is to love and to care for someone. We see that finances are being saved, and often our finances are being used in much more healthy, focused ways. We're all learning a lot about what we need in life, what's important, and what we can do without, and honestly, what we don't miss. What do we do when this is over? When Noah and his family left the ark following the flood, they had new purpose and new direction. Hopefully, we have the same. May we intentionally do these things, and I encourage you to write these things down and to think about these over the next week. May we first refocus our lives, get back on track with what matters. May we second realign with what's important. May we focus, as we refocus and we say, these are the important things, let's realign our life. Let's set a new direction and a new purpose. And then third, and I think this one's important, let's reimagine what could be. Let's reimagine. Let's look at our lives and say, these were my goals. These were my dreams. This is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be. What could happen if I was really, truly focused? Let's reimagine. I've heard it said, I can't wait to get back to living, right? I can't wait to get back to living again. I encourage you to rethink that. First, you never stopped living. Even now, your life has so much purpose and meaning. But the greater thought here is this. I don't want to get back to living. I want to get back to loving. I want to get back to what matters. I want to get back to Jesus Christ in my life. May we remember the words of pastor and author Warren Wiersbe. He said, "It is a dangerous thing to get so absorbed in the pursuits of life that we forget Jesus is coming." Don't seek to get back to how things were. Don't allow things to drift back to how things used to be. Refocus, realign, reimagine. May we never let the world distract us from remembering God and his call on our lives. Now I can sense it. Many of us, probably those of us who've been around church for a good bit in our lives, we're looking at the passages of scripture that we've read and we're wondering why we're not talking about Jesus' return. That is mentioned here, and it's a whole end of times kind of discussion, right? And that seems to make sense right now. I understand that interest. This week, my wife Julie and I, we watched the National Treasure movies. I don't know if you remember those or not. Those are the ones where Nicolas Cage searches through history, facts, and things to try to find treasure. And yes, this is where we've come in our need to be entertained. We're watching Nicolas Cage movies. I'll just let that sink in for you. But I actually do enjoy these movies, and I think most of us do because we have this desire to hunt treasure. We have this desire to figure out all the secrets. We have this desire to know everything. Here's the thing, though. What this passage tells us is that we're not meant to. We're not meant to know all the secrets. We're not meant to know everything. Jesus is pretty clear. The day and the hour of his return are unknown. Our understanding is that he doesn't even know. Jesus doesn't even know when that time is. God does, and he'll tell Jesus. So be careful if someone tries to tell you that they have the end times figured out. Jesus didn't know. And I know this time around us with the virus and even beyond that, just this moment in history, it can be rather scary. We fear the tragedies that we see. We fear the government and the steps that are being taken. I've seen the Facebook posts. We fear vaccines that are coming and what could be secretly in them. And we fear our loss of freedom and what's being taken away from us. And the truth is, I don't know. I don't know if this is the end times or just rough times. I don't know if the things that are happening, the things that are changing are signs, or if they're just signs that we live in a world that has fallen, and they're signs that the world is how it's always been. I don't know. But I know who does. And that's what matters. In this passage, we're not the master. We're not the master. We're the servant. Hopefully, we're the wise and faithful servant. The servant who realizes that they can't figure out everything, but has trust in their master and is faithful all along the way. We're not meant to know. We're meant to just be faithful. To be faithful. Let me tell you what I do know, though. When I read this passage, I am reminded that God is in control. I am reminded that God has a plan. I am reminded that God is faithful, that he is coming, that he is actively involved in this world, and that he is still shaping it. I am reminded that God is so much bigger than I am. So big that he created this world, he loves this world, and that he is so much greater than my understanding, that he is still somehow in the midst of all of that is happening. He is actively invested and interested in me and in my life. When I read this passage, I am reminded that I have nothing to fear. God is in control. So what are we to do? What are we to do to when this is over, whatever this moment in history is? Just be faithful. Just be faithful. Trust in God, stay true to God, and may his goodness be lived out in our lives. If you find yourself in fear, hold on to the truths found in this passage. Let all of this moment be a reminder. Let this moment, if nothing else, just be a reminder for you to stay alert and to stay focused on what matters. If it needs to be, may this moment be a reset button on your life and your priorities. Have the conversations you need to. Set the standards in your life to protect what you value. And as Jesus asks us here, faithfully be ready. Specifically, he says, depending upon how you translate verse 42, keep watch, stay awake, Be alert. Refocus. Realign. Reimagine. Keep your eyes open. Keep them on the ball. Stay focused at every opportunity. Most importantly, remember through all of this what we take away. God is in control. Would you join me in prayer? Father in heaven, God above, God, I thank you for just this reminder that you are in control. God, I ask that you would grant me and everyone else here in our community that, God, you would grant us peace. God, grant us the peace to be able to say we don't know. Grant us peace in looking around our world and seeing things that confuse us, that bring fear, that question us, that we don't like, and allow us to stay faithful through them, God. Allow us to hold on to the truths that you are in control, that you have a plan, that if we stay faithful to you, everything is fine. God, we know this world isn't perfect. We know we're going to at times face trials and tribulations. There will be moments, God, where we will have to stand up for our faith. God, may we simply hold on to that. That's all we really have to worry about. It's just being faithful to you. God, for a lot of us, these moments together, these moments through this virus, it's been a reminder. It's been a chance for us to look at our lives and to realign, to reimagine, to snap things back into focus, to maybe restart, to hit the restart button, God. So God, may that be useful. And as we come out of these moments, God, help us not to return to how things were. Help us to take steps forward into new life, into new love, to a better focus on our purpose. God, give each and every one of us that. Through it all, may we most importantly just stay faithful to you. May we recognize we don't have to have any worries or fears about what's going to happen in this world. Our focus is just to be faithful to you and allow that to live out from our lives. Thank you, God, for the opportunities to recognize all the love that you have for us, to recognize your faithfulness, to recognize that someday Jesus will return to this world. May we be ready, God. May we be focused. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. As always, we thank you for joining with us here at North Collins Wesleyan Church. We hope that this time together has been a blessing. As always, if you have a need, please reach out to the church. Allow us to love and support you through these times. We thank you again for joining with us. Have a wonderful week.